Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News Today, 9th April 2026. Equivalent Islamic calendar 21st Shawwal 1447 after Hijrah. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. In headlines. Presidency insists Nigeria not collapsing despite numerous challenges. African Democratic Congress chieftain accuses Tinubu of trying to move Nigeria's capital to Lagos. Independent National Electoral Commission tax media on professionalism in reported. On the international scene, Iran accuses U.S. of ceasefire breach amid Strait of Hormuz tensions. And on sports update, Flying Eagles demand payment of outstanding qualification bonuses. These are more news to be coming to you in the bulletin. To stand by. Presidency has dismissed claims that Nigeria is on the brink of breakdown, insisting that the country is making steady progress in confronting its insecurity and economic challenges. This is coming in response to recent warnings by a coalition of civil society organizations, CSOs, which described the nation as facing worsening insecurity, economic hardship, and governance concerns. Minister of Information Muhammad Idris stated this at the 81st General Assembly and 23rd Annual General Meeting of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria in Abuja, rejected what he described as narratives about the nation's future. He also insisted that the country is demonstrating resilience in the face of difficulties. The minister also cited ongoing security operations as evidence of progress, noting that coordinated military offensive and improved intelligence sharing have led to the killings of bandits and disruption of attacks, particularly in parts of northern Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is handling of Nigeria's security challenges, and ongoing military operations and intelligence efforts demonstrate that the country is gaining the upper hand against terrorism. Special advisor to the President on Media and Public Communication, Sunday Dare, who made this assertion, said Tinubu has remained actively engaged in national security matters, even while away from Abuja. Dare, while addressing worries over the President's absence at a recent public event, attributed it to the need to prioritize urgent security development, noting that Tinubu has been following incidents across the country, including recent attacks in part of the North-Central region. The presidential aide assured Nigerians that the administration is consistently responding to threats and remains committed to protecting lives and property. He also cited recent military gains as evidence of progress, including the arrest and prosecution of suspected insurgents and the killing of key figures within terrorist networks. The U.S. Department of State has directed non-emergency U.S. government employees and their families members to leave the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, citing a worsening security situation across Nigeria. The department, in an updated travel advisory, noted that from April 8, 2026, Americans are advised to reconsider travel to the country due to crime, terrorism, kidnapping, and civil unrest. The advisory explained that the overall travel advisory for Nigeria as level 3 reconsider travel, while some states are at level 4 do not travel. It also added Plateau, Jigawa, Kwara, Niger, and Taraba State to the list of do not travel areas, bringing the total to 23 states where travel is strongly discouraged due to terrorism, crime, and kidnapping. The advisory also listed Bauchi, Gombe, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, and Zamfara State, citing unrest, crime, and kidnapping. Senate President Godswill Akpabio have commissioned the new Open Mende Ojota Link Bridge project and the multi-agency complex Alausa, now known as Bola Ahmed Administrative Complex in Lagos State. Akpabio represented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has been in Lagos and is scheduled to embark on a 2-day walking visit to inaugurate about six key projects executed by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. In a video shared on X by Sanwo-Olu's aide, Jubril Gawat, Akpabio unveiled the project alongside Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma, the senator representing Lagos East District, Tokumbo Abiru, Sanwo-Olu and some other dignitaries. It will recall that the special advisor to Sanwo-Olu on media and publicity, Boyega Akosile, in a post on X, has said that Tinubu would commission iconic transformative and legacy projects delivered by his principal. On security, federal government has proposed an additional $5 billion for self-school initiative in the 2026 budget, even as the program faces intense scrutiny from the National Assembly over its impact and alleged misuse of funds. The proposed allocation appeared under capital supplementation in the House of Representatives order paper of March 31, 2026. The latest proposal is coming at a time when lawmakers have intensified scrutiny of the Safe School initiative, raising concerns over continued attacks on schools despite years of funding and policy commitment. Earlier, the Senate ordered a comprehensive investigation into the program, pledging to track all funds disbursed since its launch in 2014. The investigation follows increasing incidents of school objections and rising public concern about whether the initiative is achieving its objectives. Between 2023 and 2026, the federal government is projected to spend approximately 144.7 billion naira on the program. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) has disclosed that despite blackouts recorded in January 2026, electricity distribution companies DISCOs collected over 204 billion naira from customers. Power supply across Nigeria dropped drastically in December 2025, and this was compounded in January 2026 when gas suppliers cut supply to generation companies over $1.3 billion debt. The action over the gas supplies supplied to around 2,000 megawatts at the beginning of the year. NERC showed that the highest revenue was collected by Ikeja Electricity Company at 38.8 billion naira, followed by Abuja and Eko Disco at 35.88 billion naira. It also added that the least collections were made by Yola Disco at 4.55 billion naira, Kaduna Electric and Jos Disco at 10.04 billion and 13.09 billion naira. Chairman, Electricity Consumers Association of Nigeria, Chido K. James, said the report continued a pattern of extortionist tendency by the distribution companies. A chieftain of the African Democratic Congress (ADC), Rotimi Amechi, has alleged that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu could damage Abuja and even shift the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) to Lagos if re-elected in 2027. Amechi made this assertion during a protest in Abuja, where he emphasized that the ADC is determined to remove the All Progressives Congress (APC) from power, just as the APC unseated the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in 2015. The ADC chieftain noted that the APC forced PDP out of office, and now it is time to do the same to them. APC remain in power, they may destroy this capital or relocate it to Lagos. Nigerians must vote them out. The protest tag, Occupy INEC, was organized by the ADC in response to the Independent National Electoral Commission's INEC resolution to withdraw recognition from some of its leaders amid an internal crisis. Key figures of the party, including Amechi, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, David Mark, and Rauf Aregbesola were present at the protest, are all maintaining that Tinubu should not continue in office in 2027. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news. Independent National Electoral Commission tags media on professionalism in reported. On the international scene, Iran accuses U.S. of ceasefire breach amid Strait of Hormuz tensions. On sports update, Flying Eagles demand payment of outstanding qualification bonuses. These and more news will be coming to you after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. On 2027 election, National Electoral Commission (INEC) has emphasized the role of broadcast media in safeguarding electoral integrity, urging broadcasters to uphold professionalism and accuracy ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC Chairman George Amupitan made the call while addressing the 81st General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria (BON) in Abuja, stressed that the management of the airwaves under the Electoral Act 2026 will be decisive in shaping public trust and democratic outcomes. He also noted that the growing influence of broadcast platforms has made it central to political communication and warned that main airwaves have become the primary infrastructure of Nigeria's democracy. If they are clear, the nation sees the truth. If they are clouded by misinformation, by the sovereign will of the people is threatened. The INEC boss highlighted key provisions of the Electoral Act 2026, particularly those mandating equal access to media platforms and prohibiting the misuse of state-owned media. So on the news, some opposition leaders have knocked the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) during the occupied INEC protest in Abuja, accusing it as biased and urging a return to neutrality. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso spoke after joining other members of the African Democratic Congress (ADC) and coalition partners at the protest on Wednesday to challenge recent decisions by the electoral body affecting the party's leadership. Atiku, in a statement, stated that they joined other ADC leaders at the protest led by the party's national chairman, David Mark, sent a clear message to authorities and also called for international attention. Kwankwaso, in a separate statement, explained that the protest was a united stand by opposition groups against what he described as bias by the commission, adding that the peaceful procession in Abuja united various opposition groups in a clear message. So on 2027 general election, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has so far registered over 3.4 million new voters in the ongoing second phase of the continuous voter registration (CVR) exercise nationwide. According to the Commission's Week 13 update in Abuja, a total of 3,441,121 registrations have been completed as of April 3rd. Covering both online pre-registrations and physical works in INEC disclosed that 2,068,384 citizens completed their registration online, while 1,372,707 others registered physically and designated centers across Nigeria. It was gathered that state-by-state data showed that Jigawa recorded the highest number of registrations, with 200,047, representing 5.84% of the total. Lagos followed with 181,095, while Kano ranked third with 177,681 registrations. INEC also explained that 48,330 persons with disabilities registered during the period, noting that it is a preliminary figure depending data cleaned up during the period for citizens' claims and objections, followed by the deployment of the automated biometric identification system. Zamfara State House of Assembly has suspended Manir Haidara of Kaurandamoda local government area and Umar A. Faru of Bukuyim local government area over alleged financial embezzlement. The suspension followed the adoption of a report by the House Committee on Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs represented during plenary. Spokesperson for the House, Bello Madaro Korea, explained that the action was part of efforts to strengthen transparency and accountability in local government administration. He also added that the committee recommended the suspension after the chairman allegedly failed to honor invitations to expend the expenditure of funds allocated to their councils. Korea also said the affected chairmen had been directed to hand over to their respective vice chairmen with immediate effect. The assembly also cited alleged disregard for legislative authority and lack of transparency as reason for the action. Moving to the foreign scene on Middle East war, The Iranian authorities have accused the United States of violating a fragile ceasefire agreement, even as President Donald Trump insists that the truce remains intact amid rising tensions across the Middle East. It was gathered that the first explosions were recorded across key Gulf states, while conflicting claims emerged over the status of the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, with Tehran declaring it shut despite U.S. assurances it remains open. Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf disclosed that Washington had breached multiple aspects of the disputed ceasefire deal. He also cited Israel's airstrikes on Lebanon, alleged drone incursions into Iranian airspace, and the White House's stance on uranium enrichment as violations. However, the White House dismissed Iran's claims, with Press Secretary Caroline Leverty insisting the U.S. had not agreed to any terms allowing Tehran to continue enriching uranium. Finally, to the sporting scene, some members of the Flying Eagles have urged the National Football Federation (NFF) to settle all their outstanding qualification bonuses and camp allowances for major tournaments over the past 3 years. The 2023 and 2025 sets of Nigeria's men's under-20 team, which feature in the WAFU Cup, Under-20 AFCON, and the Under-20 World Cup in 2023 and 2025, are still owed higher bonuses for participating in 6 major tournaments, as well as pre-tournament camp allowances covering about 65 days. The Flying Eagles, led by coach Ladon Boso, qualified for the 2023 Under-20 AFCON and also beat the Benin Republic in the final of the WAFU B Cup and finished their third at the Under-20 AFCON in Egypt, and also qualified for the Under-20 World Cup in Argentina, where they were beaten by South Korea in the quarterfinals. 2 years later, under coach Alius Bayu, the team lost the WAFU B Cup final 1-0 to Ivory Coast, but had already done enough to qualify for Under-20 AFCON and beat Senegal on penalties to reach the semi-finals and secure a World Cup ticket. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. Presidency insists Nigeria not collapsing despite numerous challenges. African Democratic Congress chieftain accuses Tinubu of trying to move Nigeria's capital to Lagos. Independent National Electoral Commission tax media on professionalism in reported. On the international scene, Iran accuses U.S. of ceasefire breach amid Strait of Hormuz tensions. And on sports update, Flying Eagles demand payment of outstanding qualification bonuses. On behalf of the production crew led by Ilya Adamu Auta, I am Hamida Muhammad Idris, thanking you for investing your time and seeing with the news. Good afternoon.